Welcome back to A Rogue Theory, where we explore the origins, influences, and playability of your favorite archetypes. Remember to like and subscribe to not be an enemy stand user the next time you play. Maybe. Today we are discussing the archetype for hire, a group of beastmen mercenaries who sail the skies in search of a bizarre adventure. And seeing as this is one of my favorite archetypes, it's only fitting that they get some special treatment. The for hires are comprised of 3 spell cards, 1 trap card, and 12 boss monsters.
Dark flip the kill switch. Jojo, Poze, Poze, Poze. Jojo, Poze, Poze, Poze. Jojo, Poze, Poze, Poze. Jojo, Poze, Poze, Poze. Are you sure you're not an enemy stand user?
Yes, that's right. It's my belief that the for hire archetype has some reference to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. While it's possible they could be connected to the idea of adventuring parties or a guild in D&D based off of their diversity and many fighting styles, that's harder to prove and more of a stretch than saying Dinah is a reference to Dio Brando. Now, while I could loosely connect the other cards to this theory, Dampa being either young Joseph Joestar or Johnny Joestar, Beat being Jotaro Kujo or Ryosuke Higatsuka, and Philo being Jolene Kujo, I doubt that I could actually do it justice, as I have yet to finish reading parts 6 through 8 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. So instead, I will tell you that this theory stems from the support card New Style for Hire, which features a different art style than the other cards in the archetype. This choice, though odd and rarely ever done in any form of media, is actually commonplace in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, as the series chooses to deliberately change the art style each time it starts a new story or perspective. Now, while that about covers what the archetype's influence is, the story is a little different. While the name can be taken as a pun in the TCG, it actually helps us explain what the archetype's purpose is, and just like the Arome Mages, that is best explained through a duel, as the for hires are really just hired to help you deal with your opponent's deck, hence the name Champion, Hero, and Sage for Hire. But despite all this, neither the influence nor the compelling story element is what makes this my favorite deck. What makes this, to me, one of the greatest decks of all time, is that for the sake of a pun, Konami's TCG offices change the way the entire game works solely for this archetype. But you'll get to see examples of that in the card-by-card analysis. Beat. Bladesman for hire. Okay, first, to save you and myself some time, like every other monster in this archetype that's level 4 or lower, it can special summon another monster for hire from the hand except itself. And second, all level 4 or lower for hires have a secondary monster effect that triggers whenever another monster for hire is summoned. With that out of the way, what Beat provides is the ability to search for any other monster in the archetype, and for a deck based on swarming the field with special summons by using monsters in the hand, it's pretty obvious you'll want 3 of him in the main deck. Seal, the strategist for hire, is a mandatory 3 of within this archetype, as it allows the deck to have recursion and gives you multiple uses of your monsters, be it those you play at 1 or at 3 of. And seeing as it can sometimes add you back a monster that can act as an extra extender by triggering another special summon and effect, it often comes in handy. Dampa, the marksman for hire, gives the deck the ability to pop face-up cards. While this is effective, it does target, and since it requires another for hire to be summoned, it's a rather easy effect to stop, and it's often telegraphed to your opponent. Because of this, it's not worth running more than 1 of, in my opinion. Recon, the scout for hire, is most likely the twin of Dampa, and it can alternatively pop set cards. This effect is rather weak, as most cards will chain in response and provide you no real advantage in terms of hitting your opponent's back row early on in your turn. Philo, the messenger for hire, is a card that ideally is played turn 2 or 3 to utilize the ramping advantage that can occur over time within this archetype. But thanks to the healthy amount of discards, send, or easy to summon link monsters within the metagame, this card can easily act as a +2 or even 3 if played effectively within the deck, even if played on your first turn. Helmer, the helmsman for hire. If this card didn't require you to discard a for hire card to activate her draw effect, she would be considered playable. But as it stands, she's probably not the best one to run, despite the fact that she can often set up your graveyard for Philo on your first turn. Bravo, the fighter for hire, wouldn't be considered playable or necessary in the deck if it wasn't for the archetype's need to have different names and if they had been given a monster with 3,000 or more attack points. But since Bravo can raise the attack points of your monster by 500, he's at least worth running at 1, but not any more than that in my opinion. Sagira, the Maverick for hire, indicates a shift within the deck, as all other high-level for hire monsters can't special summon monsters from the hand, but she does instead come with the ability to inflict burn damage when she's special summoned, and as long as she's on the field, your opponent can't target your other monsters. While her protection-based effect might seem good, it's actually rather lackluster, and probably not the best card to run in the deck, as you'd rather focus on the grind game than preventing targeting effects. Dinah, the hero for hire, can banish cards from your opponent's graveyard up to the number for hire monsters you control. Interestingly enough, this effect doesn't exclude himself from the total name count. While this is probably due to the fact that the effect would be completely worthless, I'm going to chalk this up to Dinah being Dio and Konami being unable to nerf. Wiz, the Sage for Hire, gives you the life points you need to win the grind game against your opponent, but more importantly, it gives you access to spell/trap negation at the cost of discarding a for hire. Thankfully with Seal and Beat, meeting the conditions to have a discard isn't hard at all. Rafal, the champion for hire, is my main man. While he can't technically add you whatever you want from your deck, he does let you choose whatever he excavates from the top of it, Beater for hire or hand trap. But not only that, he gives you the ability to negate monster effects. In my opinion, he's the only one boss monster you want to run two of in the deck. Fulgo, the Justice for Hire. Besides having a really cool artwork design, Fulgo acts as an unusual extender since he requires 3 monsters to summon him out in the first place, and he gives you 1 from the deck in return. But he does have his upsides, especially as the games go on longer. Besides summoning a for hire from the deck, he gives you the ability to renew your hand each turn that you destroy a card, be it by battle or effect. And thanks to this ability, it gives the deck a fighting chance it needs against the metagame, and especially against Unchained. Pandora, the Flying Fortress, is honestly not worth playing in the deck as it doesn't provide you any immediate advantage when playing it. Also, draw replacement effects are notoriously bad, and while it's very easy to get 5 for hire monsters on the field, it's not likely to happen as you'll probably be link summoning in your turn, and dealing 0 battle damage isn't worth the trouble of running this card. Mayhem for Hire is a quick play monster born that in theory should make this deck tier 1, but sadly comes with the downside of not being searchable within the archetype. While you would be happy to draw into this card with Fulgo or excavate it with Rafal, the odds of either of those two things happening is very low, so I necessarily wouldn't recommend playing this unless you believe in the heart of the cards, or the deck gets an actual spell/trap searcher, preferably a Link 1 Konami. New Style for Hire is the newest support card coming out in Phantom Rage, and it allows the archetype to set up their graveyard and to give you another monster from the deck. But more importantly, it lets the deck play around hand traps that would negate or stop your plays from happening. Alternatively, it can be chained to the primary effect of the lower level for hire monsters to trigger a more optimal effect from the one you previously had on field. And seeing as how Call by the Grave went to 1,
Dude, why the heck did they limit called by?
if we don't get Crossout Designator imported in Phantom Rage, I'm going to say that this is the reason why. Training for hire for all your training needs. While the purpose of this card is to prevent you from being OTK'd and winning the grind game, I personally can't recommend it as trap cards are inherently slow, and there are often better options in terms of protecting your board, especially when considering hand traps over this. Okay, now that we know all the cards that are released and the one that is soon to be imported from the OCG in Phantom Rage, we can finally speak to the competitive viability of this archetype. Historically speaking, every single piece of support that has been given to For Hire has managed to let it keep pace with the meta, as inherently it has the potential to be a strong deck. And thanks to Fulgo and the variety of monster types, it can easily win the game on the backs of There Can Only Be One and Ghost Ogre. Strictly speaking, the deck doesn't have any combos as nothing within the deck is a 1-card link ladder. However, with the use of Beat and any level 4 or lower for hire monster, you could easily summon out Fulgo and have up to 4 cards remaining in your hand. Here's the list that I'm currently playing around with. While things have certainly changed with the new ban list and the addition of Red Ice Dragoon, I think that this list should have the potential to allow you to either play or break your opponent's boards, but feel free to change the ratios however you see fit. Now, while I think the deck currently struggles to out Dragoon on its own, with the addition of Ice Dragon's Prison and the future support cards that this archetype will receive, you should be easily able to wipe out any deck you come across.
Hi guys, it's Rogue Theory here. Sorry about the delay between my last video and this one here. I've just been feeling under the weather for the past month, and so it's been really hard to get audio and vocals out at an acceptable and appreciative manner on my own part. That's why it might sound a little weird or a little odd at certain points, and just this was the best that I could really do without delaying this video for another week. But hopefully I can get another video to you guys out within a week's time. Oh, and if you want to access the monthly polls where you get to suggest what archetypes are next, feel free to support me on Patreon in the link down below. And as always, this is Rogue Theory, passing turn.